turn on guests, please. We're going to just go around the room and just please say your name and who you're with.
Kendra Lacombe with Stage 1 Hair School.
Lawrence Rural with Stage 1 Hair School.
Carrie Marlowe with Stage 1.
Troy Freeman, salon owner, Opa Naturel.
Oh, Carol Guy, Vanguard College, Paul Mitchell. Erin Burgett, Vanguard College, Paul Mitchell.
Brunel Miller, Stellar Beauty Academy.
Raven Theodon, Stellar Beauty Academy. Christy Maddox, Esther Beauty.
Kristen Rowe, Red Skin for Life Academy.
Sherry Cook, Innovative Skincare Solutions.
Andre Morrow, Cosmetology Training Center.
Pam Wonklow, Cosmetology Training Center.
Keisha Barra, Stellar.
Robert Burns, Sound Off, Louisiana.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Martin, would you be willing to give us the invocation this morning? Sorry about that.
Heavenly Father, we just come before you this morning. We just thank you for this wonderful day that you provided us with, and we thank you for touching us, each and every last one of us this day, and giving us life. We thank you for traveling grace and mercy. We thank you for your spirit resting with us as we make decisions today, collectively, that, Lord, that will be utilized for this industry and utilized to the fullest strength according to your perfect will. Let this meeting be God in harmony. We come against confusion, we come against any chaos, and we just thank you for grace, love, and we thank you more than anything else for your spirit resting through this meeting. And it's in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
The roll call, please.
Edwin Neal,
Present.
Jill A. Bear, absent. Mella Brown,
Present.
Francis Hand,
Present.
Kevin Martin,
Present.
Melinda Tilley, Michael Grayson,
Present.
James Williams, absent. 6 board members present, 2 absent, and there is a quorum.
Thank you. I'd like to start with a bit of an announcement today. Jill Abear, Ms. Abear, approached me at the last board meeting and said that she'd like to step down as the vice chair. And unfortunately, she's not here today, but I just want to thank her for all her work and her, commitment to the board and the work we do. And also to announce a new vice chair. I've asked Mr. Martin to serve as the board's vice chair, and I believe he's accepted. Is that correct, Mr. Martin?
Yes.
So please join me in congratulating Mr. Martin, our new vice chair. First, may we have a motion to accept the revised agenda?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any questions? All in favor, say aye. Aye. The agenda is passed. Next, I'd like to hear a motion to approve the December 6, 2021 Board of Cosmetology meeting minutes. Can I hear a motion to approve them?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
We have a motion, a second. Any questions, comments, discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The minutes are approved. And just, by the way, we were not able to have a January board meeting. We had a COVID outbreak with many staff members out, so it just wasn't, we had board members who couldn't come. It wasn't going to be possible in the beginning of January, unfortunately. So next is our school business, and the first item on the agenda is Blue Cliff College Homer Teach-Out Plan.
Mr. Chairman, yes, Blue Cliff has given us notice that they would like to do a teach-out.
They've actually already completed the teach-out. It ended January 31st. They closed down due to the hurricane. It destroyed their building, so they just shut it down.
Okay, so the teach-out is done, so we just have to,
We just gotta collect their files and stuff.
collect the files, and that's it. So there is no longer a Homer campus for Blue Cliff.
Is there any action the board needs to take today?
No,
No.
just informative.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is Stellar Beauty Studios and Institute.
Okay.
There's a few items there.
Yes, sir. Stellar Beauty is wishing to add nail technology and alternative hair program to their curriculum. And Debbie, would you,
Yeah, we have someone from Stellar here as well if they wanted to speak, but the curriculum's in the packet. They do have, or they state that they do have the room and teachers to add the manicuring and alternative hair design program, which we do need more alternative hair design programs, so keep that in mind when y'all vote. The other part, I'm gonna let her speak about the continuing education, her and Mr. Steve. But so we need a vote on the manicuring and alternative hair design.
We also submitted instructor program.
Oh, did you?
well, we don't have that.
It's not on this part, let me see. Oh, yeah, it's in your packet, it's just not on that front page.
Okay.
On the little
And how
agenda.
about the instructors, okay?
Yeah, it's okay, we didn't put it on this part, on the agenda.
So the staff's reviewed the curriculum for all of the,
I
for
have,
these
but
three programs?
I would feel more comfortable if you guys look over it briefly too, just because y'all know the curriculum's better than I.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think it's fine, I mean, it looks good just from overall.
Yeah, so can we hear a motion to add the instructor, approval of the instructor training program to the agenda for Stellar?
I'll make that motion.
I second.
All in favor, say aye. Okay, so that's approved.
All right.
Just because it was inadvertent.
Yeah, it
Yes,
was
inadvertently missed, got it. Was there anything you guys want to say while we're looking at this program?
I think you did say you have teachers for all your programs, and they'll be full-time?
Yes. And they have plenty of space as well.
Okay, so let's just take like 5 minutes and review.
The alternative hair program, it would focus more on braiding.
Yeah. Stella?
Yeah, that's the alternative hair program, it's gonna focus more on braiding. Yes.
On braiding.
Yeah, I do.
Where
So
is it?
the correct application of applying hair rinses, perm solutions, and perm neutralizers, does that fall underneath alternative hair design? Or is that underneath cosmetology?
That's under cosmetology.
I was unsure because it sounded like chemicals,
It does, it's chemical, so it does not fall on alternative hair.
so we just take that out.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, that's not. No, that's cosmetology. You got the human chemicals.
I redacted that part.
Uh,
I'm taking that out since,
They need to bring it to their attention.
you guys heard him? Okay. It's all natural, no chemicals. Okay.
Mm.
You're not supposed to.
see you. Repeat that.
Oh, it's the same thing.
Okay, yeah. What text are you using for your alternative? Ms. B? What text are you? Well, when you're talking braid, usually get added hair too. That's, that falls in the category.
Brandon, are you able to do any other techniques? Like sewing the hair to the,
tips. Can we get a little bit more clarity on its Brandon extensions?
Sure.
Well, like,
What is it?
it's
The
still
extensions.
natural hair care. It's still natural hair care, they're just braiding.
Yeah, she want them
Yeah.
to, she want
Oh,
them
okay, I'm
to, she
sorry.
want them to respond.
just a little bit more on the extensions.
Yeah, it's adding, hair to braiding, extensions, putting hair in, showing them how to,
Just in the,
in the braids and stuff.
And braids, but not sewing wefted hair to braids.
it's
Yes.
not like hand tied, not like,
No,
tape
no.
in, not like.
No.
How are we not,
So how is that
okay,
gonna
I'm
be different?
confused because I was under the assumption that was part of this program. Because extensions need to be braided into the hair, so yes, extensions, absolutely. Extensions is the part, I mean, alternative hair design, in order to put the braid into the hairline, it needs to be braided and weaved into. Some people choose to do that way versus braided into the actual hair like a box braid.
It's still all natural.
Yes, so yes, extensions are, that is what we are intending to do, yes.
And that's, it's in the,
Yeah.
go ahead, say that again, Karen.
Extensions are in the scope.
It is.
Yeah,
That's what you
Natural
had
hair
mentioned
care.
earlier.
so the
So
answer
what
is,
you were asking were more sewing and all, is what you're
No,
asking.
I'm just asking about extensions in general,
Explain.
because
Yes.
some people would like to do just extensions, so does that fall underneath that, where they could go just for that?
It
You see what I'm
could.
saying? Yeah. Because then it's tape in, it's eye tips, it's,
I think if they have
it's,
an
hand
alternative,
tied, it's
if they have an,
everything.
if they have the alternative hair license, then they would be able to write
Yeah,
check.
we should
Clarify that.
Any employee
Yes.
of unnatural hair that doesn't grow from the scalp,
Right.
Yes.
typically by definition of the book.
Okay.
Any more questions on that natural hair piece? The alternative hair, sorry, curriculum? Were there any questions on the nail curriculum? Okay, so I'll let you all finish reading the instructor. On the instructor curriculum, are there any comments or questions? I had a question. Have you guys thought about, like, dealing a mental health piece to the instructor training? It's just something that we're hearing a lot. More and more students are coming to the school and they've got an issue, you know, and how does the instructor deal with that? And I'm just wondering if that's something y'all thought about.
We can definitely, put it in or think about it and talk.
You know, like, we have, like, maybe have someone to refer them to, you know, if there is a challenge.
We do
because
have
it's just-
someone.
I think that would be part of the next program.
Whenever we're talking about our.
Whenever we talk about Ignite, I think that's gonna be able to cover a lot of that stuff.
Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
The Ignite program that we're proposing with some of the continued education, we're wanting to implement something similar to that in
Okay.
that phase of our.
Perfect. So, any more questions, comments, discussion from the board? No? Do you wanna, so should we take them all together? So how about this, let's do two motions. One, to approve the NAIL program and the instructor training program. And then, let's do another motion on the alternative hair with the
exception.
change where the chemical services perming are removed. Okay, so could you hear a motion to approve the NAIL and the instructor training program?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. The motion passes. Next, a motion to approve the alternative care program.
Motion to approve the alternative care program with the exception of the perming and perming solutions that be removed, and the instructor.
I second that.
Second?
According
Any-
to what you
any-
explained to us.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. It's approved with that change. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I think on the next section, that you may have
Yeah, the next section here was about the continuing education seminar, and I just had a question. Have we heard if LAX is gonna be doing the
Well,
association?
we don't know, and we need to wait on things like this until, because the board has approved LAX to be the seminar each year. Through the COVID stuff, we don't know. The board has approved My Lady and will approve Pivot Point, but at this point, Mr. Chairman, to approve other continuing education, I think, should be postponed until we know what is going to happen with LAX.
I agree.
What are your thoughts on what Mr. Young said?
We have a presentation we present, at least to let y'all know what we have.
We don't need to do that at this time.
Just to let y'all know what's going on.
I'm open to hearing the
I'm open to hearing
presentation,
it.
but I do think we need to kind of,
And we can put it on,
on a future agenda.
On a future.
But
Perfect.
just to let y'all know and have
Yes.
an idea on what is going on and what our thoughts are.
Please proceed.
We've made a video presentation just so we can cover all our bases and everybody could visually see in
How long is it?
8 minutes.
Okay.
Can we turn off the lights?
Yeah, go ahead.
Nope.
Close the door a little, please.
Let's see.
Whoa.
Okay, I can't see.
She can't see that.
Okay. Okay, I don't know how we're gonna.
Well, you need me to move?
Ms. Deborah, would you mind if I stepped into your office just for a second to get this like
Yeah, go ahead.
100% and
So
then
we'll come back.
I'll come back
Are you good?
at the end.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Whoa, what a difference.
Okay.
All right.
Next
Mr.
item.
Chairman, Avery James, they are only wishing to make changes in their schedule?
Well, they're changing a few of the courses and a few of the hours for each course. So I feel like I need you guys to glance on those too, because, you know, again, you know more than me about how many hours each thing needs to be. It's very subtle changes though. You'll see it, the first part is their current curriculum and the second part is the revised. You'll see at the top. It looked okay to me, but again, I just want you all to look too.
Yeah, in the cover letter, they say that it's update for scheduling purposes only. There have been no changes to the program's content, curriculum, or clock credit hours.
Are all schools back fully in person now?
They are, unless there's a COVID outbreak, and then we allow them a few days to clean it, but only a few days. It's not, yeah, they're all back in person. Yeah.
Mr. Young, there's no one here from Avery James.
No. But I noticed it was just small changes, like instead of 15, it would be 22.5 hours, you know, in that particular subject. Stuff like that.
It's like everything in here, it's just.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
It doesn't even seem like this is something that would need a board approval.
I didn't know, so we just
Yeah.
put it on there.
If we need a motion, I'll make a motion.
How many instructors do they have?
I would have to go pull it. I don't have it in front of me.
So I heard a motion, is there a second?
Second.
And any questions, comments, discussion on the changes? They look extremely minor to me.
Okay.
Hearing no comments, all in favor of approval of the curriculum change, say aye. Aye. Any opposition? It's approved.
Okay.
Next, Mr. Chairman, is Vanguard wishing to include the aesthetics curriculum at their school, Debbie?
At their Baton Rouge location, they already approved it, some other locations, but they're adding it to Baton Rouge. You'll see the curriculum there. Looks good to me. It's 750 hours, which is what we require. So.
I think we've already approved them at the other site.
Right.
Yes,
I'm sure
ma'am.
they'll be following the same program.
Yes, ma'am.
Any more discussion around Vanguard? Can I hear a motion to approve the addition of aesthetics to their Baton Rouge campus?
Make a motion.
The second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. It's approved.
Yes.
Okay, the next item is the consent agreements, and we have one as well.
That's Ms. Chastity Senior. She was a aesthetic student working at an unlicensed aesthetic salon. So she was issued a 1-year probation with a fine of $600 and board cost of $350 for a total of $950.
Any questions, comments, discussion on the consent agreement?
She was a student, but she's now passed all the examinations.
Okay, perfect. Can I hear a motion to approve the consent agreement?
I'll make the motion to approve this consent agreement.
Second.
Motion and a second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, the consent agreement is approved.
All right.
Yes, let's go,
Okay.
let's move to our old business then.
It was, the last time you wanted me to get the classes from Pivot Point that was offered for continuing education. I spoke with someone there, and these are the 6 classes that they offer. You can either do it in person or as a webinar, and they are 3 credit hours each. So we just need to have those approved along, we've already done Milady, so.
And you reviewed the subject matter and agreed that it's appropriate?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I see it's here.
Yeah, it's only 6 classes, so.
Yeah. Your motion to approve Pivot Point, continuing educator credits.
I'll make a motion. To approve.
Is this for a specific period of time, or is it?
Remind me of how we did My Lady. I think
We did Milady for this year. They
Yes,
just all
that is
have to
correct.
do it this year to get back on track,
Okay,
so
so it's for
this
1
year.
year.
That is correct.
Okay, sorry. So,
Correct, Mr. Steve.
okay, so let's change the motion to approve
2022.
the Pivot Point continuing education credits for instructors for 1 year. Can someone sort of remake the motion?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. The motion passes. Next item is the esthetician practical. I know you guys have been working on that. Let's finish these and come back to the video at the end, if that's okay.
I think for the practical, I think it was only awaiting approval, and we kind of postponed it because we were waiting for Melinda to come back.
Oh, that's right, because we did get a whole presentation on the new practical. Was there anything else you wanted to add, Melinda, before you?
No, I think you did a great job.
Okay.
These are revised, right?
No, that's the letter.
Okay.
The practical is just the one that Chrissy had set up and that Keelan went over.
Okay.
And the school, have the school representatives in the room, have you guys have reviewed the new practical? And were there any issues with it or comments? You feel like it's a good new practical?
I had one question about just students that are done with school, that have been, their hours have just not expired. Do we have a plan for what would happen with them?
Well, we always have to test the old test for all of those who took that particular course. So there will be 2 tests for a while because now no one has gone through the new process.
Right.
We'll be doing the old test for the next however long it takes.
Yeah.
Then we will start with the new students, with the new process, we will start the new test. If they are coming in under the old hours, they will take the old test.
Okay, does that work? Yeah. Anyone else? Okay, with that, I think we should hear a motion to approve the new aesthetics practical exam.
I have a motion.
I second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposition? Okay, the motion passes, and Melinda, thank you so much for, spearheading this, and thanks to everybody who was involved. I mean, we were trying to do, this is sort of came out of the advanced aesthetics, and I think we found a great solution to address a lot of the concerns with making sure people are properly trained on all the new techniques, so it was really, really very well done. Okay, so the next item is the new textured it says natural, but it's actually textured hair testing presentation.
Yes, I need to set.
Okay.
I need a few minutes.
You need a few minutes?
Yeah, I'm taking maybe 5 minutes, grab my things and.
Okay.
Go on.
Then we'll let you,
Well, she's gotta do the rule revisions. You wanna?
just go to what?
The rule revisions.
Okay. You wanna do that first and we'll do all the presentations at the end?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, rule revisions. Oh, sorry.
Yes, we do.
Okay, wait, I went out of order, sorry. Executive Director's report.
Mr. Chairman, if you will notice, just have this item. If you'll notice, you have a copy of the audit report for last year. Each year, we're required by the Attorney General to have a very expensive audit done on our books to make sure that things are all good. But if you happen to look on page 57, I would like you to notice that, again this year, thanks to this wonderful staff you've got here, particularly our person who does our books, you will see that there were no material weaknesses identified. There were no significant deficiencies identified. There were no non-compliance material found, and there is nothing to be reported in this audit except everything was good. So we have another fine audit. I'm happy to present to you for the 11th year.
Congratulations, thank you, thank you. Thanks to staff, thank you, Mr. Young. Mr. Young, were there any other matters for you?
Well, not that I can see.
You know, a question that keeps coming up is, and I just want to make sure everyone knows, you shared with me, we were behind in testing, so what's our?
Oh, well, we're so caught up with testing right now until we're having to scramble to have days for our testers to come in. So we are caught up, everything is fine, we're testing Monday, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays. We've gone away from the 4 or 5 day testing week, and so we're up completely caught up.
And in which month were you able to catch up? Which month did you get caught up?
Last month.
Last month.
We were totally caught up last month, so, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So, yeah, that was good.
That's an accomplishment.
There was a backlog, I know. Okay, then I think if that's it for you, Mr. Young, Ms. Morris.
With respect to my report, we have a session coming up, as you all know, and we have a draft bill which we can pass around, which solely deals with fees. And as you all requested at the last meeting, it's an increase only of $10 to individual licenses, and it's $10 to salons, but you'll see that that's written in because I made a typographical error there. It does remove the disparity between the resident and non-resident, which should have been removed a long time ago, but it hasn't been. So I don't have the tally of the financial impact yet. We'll do that once you all finalize the bill, but we have been charging non-resident fees, but it's not a high number, and so you will lose those higher fees, and everybody will go under the same fee.
There was one other item we talked that I know that has been coming up with regard to the testers.
Since we discussed this at the last meeting, it was raised that our testers are making less than minimum wage sometimes because they are working on days, and there's a cap in the statute of $100. And especially they were working 7 days. They were working 5 days a week, more than 40 hours sometimes. So if you all want to add that to the legislation, I can add that in to remove the cap.
You know, I think what we have to do is change their title, remove them from per diem, because civil service says that they're under per diem. And we just need to remove that from the per diem title.
Yeah, so I guess there's a question of, is this something we want to try to do now? Is it, you know, because it is a challenge at some point, Mr. Young, I know you're getting, I mean, what have you heard from the testers?
Well, we were paying the testers to come and work each day. It was a fee of $125 for their pay. And we had testers that were coming from North Louisiana, South Louisiana, and we had folks from all over the state. So that we had, you know, we had what we needed as far as testers. Then we were notified that the testers came under the per diem of $100 and could receive no expenses. So they got a cut of $25, plus they can no longer do their gas mileage for traveling to Baton Rouge and to help us test. So they've lost $25 plus any expenses for their gasoline. And so they've been working for a strict per diem of $100, and we're not going to be able to find people who are willing to do that. It's going to be a very big problem for us if we can't get back to what we were doing.
So, if I understand, you want to take out the per diem so that they can be reimbursed for mileage and expenses if they live.
Just take them from under per diem and add them in or just take them out and we can go add them under civil service somehow, I think.
You can't put them under civil service because they don't.
Well, we'll have to make a part-time, yeah, whatever we have to do, but just so that we can have a way, venue to try to help increase the pay a little bit so we can have testers, because if we don't have testers, we don't have anything. And so we really need to make sure we have good testers.
You're suggesting an hourly fee or leave $100 in and add reimbursement for travel and related expenses?
I think probably if we would do a per hour plus expenses would be the good way to do it.
Any thoughts on this from the board?
How do you find testers?
Well, you see, they have to be an instructor. They have to be an instructor with all of their hours taken. They have to be an instructor with a current license. And they have to be an instructor who's probably retired or not teaching, because you can't take an instructor who's teaching out of the school to come over and test the students they're teaching. So we have to just put the word out everywhere, and we do find one every once in a while, and they stay with us forever. But those that have been with us forever are getting as old as I am, and some of them much older.
How many testers do we have?
We just have 3. We need 4 right now. We only have 3. So on days when one of them may be sick or out, we have 2. And that just doesn't work.
So just for me, the question comes up, is this the right time to try to do this? Because we already have a fee bill that's finished. Or, you know, should we make this change to the fee bill to do this? Yeah, I'm feeling like it feels to me like we're up against deadlines here, and it's gonna take a minute to figure this out.
We still have time, it's not been pre-filed yet, but.
But then I don't see how we'll have another board meeting to look over the language before the deadlines.
You can approve the language if you will have a board meeting before it's heard,
Okay.
because the session doesn't start until March, end of March.
What do you, Mr.
As long as you have a
I'm just thinking.
concept I mean, we prepare the first draft, but actually the House staff is gonna
Okay.
do the final language, but I just need to be able to understand what your concept is. You can approve it in concept, you will see the bill before it goes to committee.
Okay. So the concept is $25 per hour? What is the per hour?
We don't, do we have to put it in there? We don't have to write it into
I
law.
was thinking that the board would set the hourly rate and then, out-of-state testers could be, reimbursed for travel expenses.
Out of
under the
city,
state.
not out of state.
Yeah, out of
I mean, out of
Parish,
parish.
yeah.
Parish.
Yeah, because they should be able to be reimbursed for their travel time.
Agreed.
Right.
Okay, and then we can
It would
set,
be at the
Nobody
state
wants to wait
mileage
till
rate,
next
it would
year
be
to
in
start getting
accordance
paid
with.
for a
It's
job
only
they
fair.
wanted to do now.
It's only fair.
so the legislation would say something like, what would it say?
It would say that, the board shall employ testers, the board shall establish an hourly rate of pay, and they shall be reimbursed in accordance with the state rules.
Okay.
That would be perfect.
Okay. Is that, would it, you guys, anyone disagree with that? No?
I'm in agreement.
Okay, can I hear a motion to approve the fee changes, the bill that we have in front of us, with the addition of what Ms. Morris discussed, that the board will set an hourly rate for the testers, and they'll be eligible to have out-of-parish travel expenses reimbursed in accordance with the state regulations.
I'll make that motion.
I second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Any objection to this from any of the school owners? You guys, does this make sense to y'all? Just wanna, part of what we're gonna need with this bill is industry support. And how, does anyone here feel like we should not increase the fees?
Not that I shouldn't, but I already wrote the governor and our local congressman in Metairie, just because I know it's so important. This facility needs to be updated. Everybody's pay needs to be increased. Like, we talked about this last time.
Right.
And I sent it to licensed cosmetologists too. They're all writing things.
Okay.
We really need to, like, as a group, whoever's in this room, if you're passionate about it, like having your license and stuff, you need to start writing people
Very much so.
to increase
I
the
reached out to
speed
her and I did the same thing because this is part of the reason
Yeah.
that we want to put on this program is because state board just needs more funding. And if somebody doesn't step up, we're going to lose a lot of people that are important to our industry and it's going to be detrimental. So I think, she was really a big part in why we're trying to do what we want to do because y'all need more funding than what's currently coming in.
I think it should be as high as the barbers pay. I agree.
Like, I think that, it's a similar
Field.
field, and, like, I think the $10 is good, but it should be as high as the barbers are paying.
Well, that's true. I mean, the barbers, they went up on the barbers, 5 years ago? And they haven't let us increase since 1996. That's a long time. And if the legislature had to go on their 1996 budget, they couldn't even open the door to the Capitol. But as you can see with the holes in the floors and how much we've been able to improve this place, we need to get that small raise. But for some reason, of course, the barber board has a barbers union that will go in and help them, and we don't. It's been hard, but we certainly need that $10 would at least give us enough to be able to keep the staff. Because at some point, if we have to keep doing this, we're gonna have to cut back staff, and then we fade into the memory of everybody.
And it is so important to be in touch with your legislators, because they don't know. They just see a bill, it doesn't pertain to them maybe in particular what they're interested in. But I think if you take the time to call them, I prefer to talk to them. Writing is good, but if you can call them and talk to them, that's important. And when they have little fundraising things, it's kind of important to be a part of that also, because they remember you if you do that.
Thank you, Ms. Ham. Any other comments or thank you for the feedback. I appreciate that.
I'm sure we can post something like that on our Facebook things.
Excellent.
To ask for people to call.
Great.
We will.
Thank you.
Just to update the technology.
The technology.
The
I mean, there's,
technology,
you know, we talked about the
technology is
facility,
huge.
there's technology, there's also, we
Yeah.
need more inspectors.
Yeah.
You know, so there's a lot.
More
there.
testers,
Yeah.
apparently.
And we just
And
had
more.
11 years with a really good audit, so, you know, you talk about the standard.
There you go. Thank
Just
you.
saying that.
Okay, I think we've got a motion on the table. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposition? Okay, so the resolution passes. Now. You want?
Okay, so this is my kind of version of what I saw that we could do with the goal book to reduce, areas where it's overburdensome, or just to simplify the language. Just stuff that was missing, and just trying to make it congruent with the laws in the back of the book. First, we have the aesthetic services. That is a definition that was not included in the goal book. That's what our task force came up with as far as just including aesthetic services in the definition. And I basically pulled it directly from the laws in the back. Services that engage in any or one of the combination of the following practices: massaging the face or neck of a person, dyeing or trimming eyebrows, applying natural or artificial enhancements to eyelashes, hair removal by cosmetic preparations, threading, waxing, or other similar means, stimulating, cleansing, or beautifying the face, neck, arms, bust, upper body, legs, or feet of a person by any method with the aid of the hands or of any mechanical or electrical apparatus, including epidermabrasion or particle exfoliation, using equipment or methodology approved by the board, or by the use of cosmetic preparation. Services include, but are not limited to, superficial chemical peels, dermal planing, and nanoneedling. Okay, so that part I added.
Excellent.
In the definition, it had the whole, however, aesthetics shall not include diagnosis. I scratched through that, but only because I included that in the prohibited services part. Flipping, we added dermal planing, microneedling, nanoneedling, and commercial body art to the definitions. Y'all can kind of look at them right quick and just let me know if something you want me to change, add, or whatever. And the commercial body art definition came directly from DHH.
Great.
Do you have one?
You have a copy?
Do you have a copy? Yeah.
Okay.
All right, and then after the definitions, we have the student roster. We've always asked instructors to turn in a roster. We just put it in the book, just making sure that their rosters have active, their instructors have active licenses and enough instructors for however many students that they're teaching. We came upon a situation a couple of times, going to the next one, leave of absence, and basically it's just saying that leave of absence is for the schools. It's not something that we keep track of if a student is on a approved leave of absence. We only care when they haven't reported 6 months of hours, or what I have is more than 179 days, and basically it just says that after 179 days they have to be re-enrolled, re-registered. Next, we have prohibited services. This is a complete section that we did not have in the goal book at all, and I just feel like it was needed, and this was per the suggestions of our task force. No Louisiana State Board licensee/permittees shall perform any of the following procedures, acts, or services in a registered Louisiana State Board of Cosmetology facility. the diagnosis, treatment, or therapy of any okay, y'all know what I'm trying to say, condition, or the process of removing hair known as electrolysis, laser usage, microneedling, microblading, services and or procedures that penetrate or invade the live tissue of the dermis by any means, including but not limited to instruments and product insertion, puncturing, cutting, needling, or chemical exfoliation. Chemical peels containing alpha hydroxy acid in the concentration greater than 14%. I got that percentage from the medical board. Chemical peels containing phenol and TCA. And the use of acid or acid solutions that would exfoliate the skin below the stratum corneum unless under the direct supervision of a licensed healthcare practitioner. Commercial body art, and the use of any mechanical or electrical apparatus that is considered a medical device by the FDA. So if y'all want to add something to the prohibited services.
I think this covers it. Was there anything? Yeah, it's excellent. I mean, all the things you've got listed are the things that you have to have a medical license to do. So, yes, the task force signed off on this. Okay.
Christy, you got those too?
Okay, so go over the chemicals again. You talked about TCA, so what percentage are you talking about? Do you have that information?
Whatever reading I was using, it just said that that's considered a medium or a deep peel and not a superficial peel.
Because, I mean, all the different percentages, it depends on, you know, of course, what the pH is, and, you know, all these different companies out there that are legit companies have your aesthetic solutions and your MD solutions.
Right.
So that's kind of a broad thing, like, you know, you
So
say
you're saying it's
TCA
like
14%.
So it's like alpha hydroxy acid. There's a lower concentration that can be used by.
There's all different types.
So you want to add
I work with
14%
different
to
companies that
that?
have, you know, different percentages
So we're
for
gonna need to
aesthetics.
find a percentage of TCA that we're able to use.
And I know, you know, legitimate companies are not gonna sell to somebody who does not have a medical license.
But let's go, I think we gotta go back on this one. On number 8, the use of TPA, because apparently it sounds like, and you're gonna need to research this, it sounds like there is that you can use it in aesthetic services as long as it's below a certain concentration, and that, I think we need to come back, circle back around on that.
Okay. Flipping to the revisions, basically, the first one just says that our high school courses have to adhere to the same rules unless it's not relevant, you know, applicable to them. The next one, we just added the word electronically because that's how we submit the hours now. We kind of submit them a little different than what we did. And then we took away the part where it says if a student didn't clock any hours, to report 0. We no longer want you to do that. Just don't include them on a report because it kind of messes up our system counter. It kind of like, if you keep reporting 0, it keeps saying that the student, it counts as a month. Yeah, so it throws the system off. All right, we're almost done, y'all. Next we have the report, and that's just, it used to have to be signed by a senior instructor, but the way that we submit it now is not necessary because we do the whole electronic thing. Next we have classroom, there should be one theory. Classroom per course offered, that is just clarity of a rule that we already had. The next one, all I did was change access to certified and permitted. And if you flip the page, it's for purposes of the next part. Initially, at some point, we kind of was under the impression that our inspectors could not go into facilities that were not licensed by us. You know, people's houses and the shade tree places and stuff like that. But I copied this verbiage directly from our laws, and it said that the board shall have jurisdiction over all uncertified and unpermitted persons and facilities relative to the enforcement and provisions of the Louisiana Cosmetology Act. So we do have jurisdiction over areas that are not licensed, and I just wanted to put that in a rule to make it congruent with the law. And then Looks like last but not least, we just took away the part for special permits that said for a period of 1 year, because we changed a while back to their birthdays instead of a year from when they renewed. Like your microderm is renewable now, like on your birthday, as opposed to a year from when you actually renewed it. And so it basically was just changing the verbiage.
Any comments, questions, issues with any of these other changes? No, I think this is excellent work. Thank you so much.
Good job.
Yeah.
Another part is just how it would kind of look in the rules. It's nothing to read. It's the same thing we just went over.
So I think, is there any deadline to get this complete? No. So could we, do you think we could come back and get that last change made and get it approved the next board meeting?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I'll help you with it.
Okay, so we'll put this on, yes, Mr. Martin?
Just question, just, because I mean, some of this stuff is new to me. What give them access of inspection to uncertified, the jurisdiction to walk in someone else's home?
If we have a complaint.
If we have a complaint. That's how we inspect all places. Like if they're not registered, they're not licensed, the only way one of our inspectors would go to a facility or a place like that would be a written and signed complaint.
And I think it needs to be, because I know of one particular case where the girl never finished school, but she was advertising on Facebook her salon. So you need to be able to take care of those kind of people.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, they use their discretion as far as like, if it looks unsafe or.
Right, that was my concern.
Yeah, they definitely, they're not required to go in if it's something that makes them feel uneasy.
Right.
No, and we tell them that if somebody says you're not permitted to come in my house.
They just immediately
They're
just
not
go.
permitted to go into their
Yeah.
house,
Right.
so.
Okay.
I was concerned, like, what's that, like the dog story I heard in here.
Yeah.
No, that's a great question. Thank you for that, for the clarification. Okay, so I think we're gonna table this one till, let's get this last little piece tweaked and we can get it done in March. Is that okay with you, Ms. Morris?
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, what do we want to do, where do we want to go first? We want to do the video first, or we want to do the, do you want to do the demo on the?
It's about
Doesn't
it.
make a difference.
Okay. I'm gonna turn around and use it there.
Okay.
Take two.
That's a good one.
Going to use this wall probably, that way it, we don't have to. Is that okay if I?
Well, that's good with me.
Sorry.
I'm gonna move back a little so I can
And
film
everybody
it.
can see from behind us and doesn't have to move.
And maybe put it on the edge of the table.
I'm not sure it's gonna reach without a plug.
You can use my extension. Well, I got battery. You can use my extension.
You sure?
Yeah, I'll be able to hold in for sure for 8 minutes.
Okay, if you would like to do that.
All right. Here you are.
That is 100% connected to, yeah, she's like calling.
You have to turn off the light there. Are we unplugged it?
Oh, yeah.
Of course, Once we unplug it in now, it won't plug back in my phone. Okay. I'm gonna use my own phone.
As an institute, I'm so excited and honored to be able to be the face of the staff that's created such an extraordinary program. The vision behind Ignite came from my staff and the board that we...
Oh. I'm gonna start it over. Do you want to make it bigger? Would that help if we made it bigger?
I think it's fine.
Okay.
Just try to keep it steady.
Okay. All these ones. Oh my goodness.
You may just have to buffer. Just give it a second to buffer.
I hate that it won't do.
Is it preloaded on there, or you have it?
Yeah, no, it's already on here. It's on my cell phone.
Never mind then.
Hi, good morning. My name is Keisha, and I'm coming to you today from Stellar Beauty Studios and Institute. I'm so excited and honored to be able to be the face of the staff that's created such an extraordinary program. The vision behind Ignite came from my staff and the board that we created at Stellar. Their vision of what they were seeing as being detriment to our industry and where girls were truly struggling. And as educators, they're even confused on what exactly State Board is testing for on the practical exam. And in order to be able to bridge this gap, we have to have a place to be able to all come together and train as a unit so everyone can be on the same page. There are no more question marks. There's only exclamations and excitement for this industry and building our beauty professionals. We are so excited to be able to present to you a program today that we are super passionate about. We've named the program Ignite, hoping to relight the spark in educators across our state. We're also hoping to get everyone on the same page when it comes to State Board testing. The vision behind Ignite stems from the confusion that starts in the classroom. We've come to cross the hurdle of especially trying to hire staff for our newly developed school, that there are so many cosmetology professionals that have taken interest in teaching the beauty industry, and they've actually only had a week to 2 weeks of skincare and are wanting to apply for an SDology position. As we are starting to launch our programs, I definitely see the importance of having a licensed working esthetician teaching in our school. We thought it was really important to begin this process as soon as possible to offer skincare knowledge to the cosmetology professional who is actually interested and licensed to teach skincare. She just needs a little bit more foundation to be able to plant her roots with others who are interested in learning the field. Why Ignite? The vision behind Ignite stemmed from the understanding that the industry as a whole is ready to upgrade in education. I found it very important after hearing that virtual learning for educators was an option, that we offer something and create something that is welcoming and encouraging to all learner types. Coming out of the pandemic, we found the gap absolutely being that all learner types were not being met because they were learning virtually. So they were going out into the field and practicing as professionals and injuring their clients. And we don't want the same gap to happen from the educator to the student. So we are offering the program in-house to be able to accommodate all learning types. We are wanting to make sure that we address this is open to the entire state. Every school, every educator who is currently not teaching, this is open to all educators who are licensed in our state. That way they can come in and decide skin this year, hair next year. If they're a cosmetologist, they can only focus on the skin side. If they're an esthetician professional that received their licensing, we also are looking to expand into certifications because there are so many women just leaving school and as a licensed professional certifying other professionals and have no experience under their belt. Again, this is causing detriment to the client. So I feel that it's time to establish parameters, guidelines, and borders for professionals, if you're not an educator, to not license or certify other educators. Our floor plan can accommodate our vision, utilizing 8 different studios into very large common areas. Here in Stellar, we're excited to be able to offer in-house training for all learner types. Our address is 214 Rue Louis, Lafayette, Louisiana. We are hoping to bring resources into State Board. There's 2 farms, 2 ways that we're trying to raise money. One is absolutely going to be our event, where we hope that State Board would send their testers to our facility, of course, prior to the event to train with our educators so everyone's on the same page, and to be there the day of our event, obviously. And the second source is to be able to open up their housing for testing for any individual educator who is already licensed to be able to test out of actually having to participate in an in-house event here at Stellar. Of course, the test out would come with a fee. That way educators could actually pay $50, $75 to come into the State Board just as a student and test out of having to come into their 16-hour continued educational course. Test out and then do the online option for their 8 hours. We are seeking the approval for State Board, and with approval, obviously, we would put together our business plan and business model along with spreadsheets and workups, so you would actually have a better idea of what resources this could bring to State Board. And as this wraps up the business proposal part of the program, I would like to take an opportunity to introduce to you Raven Kyodong, so she can actually walk you through the vision of the 5-year plan.
Hi, I'm Raven Kyodong, and our 5-year plan begins with year 1 and the launch of the Ignite program. With the Ignite program, the first year, we want to first and foremost pay respect to the board and its members for all that they've done for us over the years and the inspiration that they bring. Through the overview, we'd love to work with the State Board as far as going over the testing standards with the members of the board to where we're all on the same page, break down the cosmetology definition given in the Gold Book, RS 37563, offer 16 hours of continuing education to our members, work with the board to start the testing standard updates that need to be done on the board, and share our profit plan and revenue with the board, and invite some great guest speakers in. Year 2, we would like to make this our year of transition. We want a crossover launch for our Cosmo and SD instructors in the area to be able to be well-rounded enough to teach in both areas, Cosmo and SD, if they are cosmetology instructors. We want a larger scale event, new revenue streams to come in for the State Board as well as the Ignite program. We want consistency to be built for our testing and the standard of the industry. We're going to have even better new guest speakers, and the schools in the area, we would like to invite them at that point to take a more active role. During that year 1 and year 2 period, we would also like to work with the board to make it mandatory for someone that's certifying people to be instructor certified and submit curriculums and be put on a registry to where the standard of the industry is being upheld. Year 3 is our year of transfer streams in. Year 4 is our year of distinction. That year, we would like to make it a more distinct industry. New regulations possibly could be enacted for training to cover the basis for those people that are not grandfathered in from our previous definition in year 3. Year 4 will also separate the industry and gain more revenue for businesses, for the board, and for schools. And then year 5 is our goal of full evolution. All the changes are made to reflect the standard of both the SC and the cosmetology over the last 5 years. The revenue streams should be flowing for both the cosmetology board and the Ignite program. The testing centers, we would love to participate in facilitating an Ignite testing center and the expansion of CEU hours across the board for all licensed individuals, cosmetology through instructors. And that is our 5-year plan.
We're not here to be overwhelming. We're hoping to ease and be leaders in a direction of a new venture. We're wanting to take the cosmetology industry and allow it to evolve naturally and slowly. We're not trying to rush anything. We're just wanting to guide our educators and give them the tools necessary to become leaders of the beauty industry and to give new professionals the right tools and items needed for their journeys and success. We thank you so much for your time today. We are hoping to be able to collaborate and work with State Board in order to be able to bring our educators together and revolutionize our industry as a whole. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for that. I can tell you guys put a lot of work into that. It's a really good presentation. I think, as Mr. Young said, we kind of want to hold on making a decision on this. Let's find out a situation with wax, and then we'll come back to this. But thank you so much. While we're getting set up, we have a new person here with us today, an attorney. As you guys know, Ms. Cangelosi is no longer our prosecutor. We've been looking for a new board prosecutor. I'm happy to say that we've now brought one on, so if you could introduce yourself and just say a few words to the group.
Okay. I'm Jim Raines, at the firm Brazil Saxon, and been practicing about 18 years, and I do a ton of administrative work. Sherry and I actually on another board together, so I join on Friday. But the prosecuting and doing discipline is a lot of what I do. So, good to work with you.
And I know you're going to have someone else working with you.
Yep. Yeah, Kelsey Clark is going to be working a lot with you guys. Kelsey actually just got married Saturday night, so she's not in the country. So I told her I would come today, but I should be working with you guys a lot.
And are we able to get notices out for March hearing dates? Or are we not? Are we going to move slow?
April, I would normally put the notices together and get the notice period that's required. You're not, you might be able to get informal.
Okay. So we're starting as of today. There you go. Perfect. Thank you so much, and thanks for being here today. Mr. Martin, you ready?
Yes, sir. Yeah. Now we'll get this out of the way.
Can I just start by saying, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Martin, you're going to show exactly how the new texture test will be implemented, so people can understand what the testers will be looking for.
Okay. Well, first of all, I want to say good morning and thanks for granting me the opportunity. And literally, really, what's transpiring here is nothing new as to what I'm doing or something that was newly invented. If you go to your Milady book, I need my glasses. If you go to your Milady book, there is a chapter in haircutting on page 389, and that is understanding other cutting textures. That is in each and every last one of y'all book if you're working with the latest edition. And it talks about cutting curly hair. It talks about the focus on the tips for cutting curly hair, because that's exactly what I will be executing at the moment. Now, when we talk about textured hair or curly hair, we're talking about the same, and I'm just bringing, these are my babies for demonstration. We're talking about the same type texture, and the same technique used on this diverse texture. This is what you would call natural hair, okay? This is what you would call curly hair. Okay, very curly, tight. Whether the pattern, I had a pattern in an orange rod. So whether the pattern is in an orange rod or whether the pattern is on whatever type of pattern, curl pattern it is, it's textured hair, and this one here is a little curly. The technique is the same. Literally, if you was to follow me step by step, it literally has in the bottom portion the focus on. And that's literally going to walk you through it. So what I have right here is a procedure for the permanent waving and cutting curly natural hair. So now we're utilizing it as the portion, a part of our perming. So please, I'm very busy. I don't wrap perms a lot. I didn't wrap this perm to pass state board. I've already passed. So critics, keep your rocks to yourself. Email me what you want to email me about my rap. I did that after Friday, after a tough day of trying to handle, Ms. Miller know how it goes, trying to handle some kids. Nerves bad, haven't drank in 30 years and wanted to drink that day. So let's just say, for instance, an individual would come in and what our Kim set, and here's our Kim set, and we all know that the subsection must be on the front left panel. We didn't change much, or the technique is not, the procedure is not far off from what the actual perm application was requesting in the past. Still, the subsection is on the left panel. The subsection must be, according to the long white rod, must be half on base, no fish hooks. Same thing, the same guidelines. The hair must be dry, double in paper, flat wrap, and wrap with tension. That's what's already in place. Now here we come in and we implement the cutting technique. The tester will, the rod and the end paper is removed and is sectioned, and 3/4 subsection, whether vertical or horizontal. Vertical, horizontal, we don't give an individual, we don't tell them how to cut it, we don't tell them how we want them to section it, but we give them the option to come in and to section it according to how they want to cut it. But the technique is what we're testing on. So it is already in place. An individual would come in. He or she would take a rod down, and I went on and set the whole entire mannequin so that, in case I have to come in here. So the tester would look, and the tester would see that the hair is dry. Hair must be dry. Student must come in with the perm set already in place. The paper's removed. The rods is removed.
So the tester is gonna come remove the rod and the paper.
The tester will come with the hair dried, in place, and will remove, before the examiner will remove the rod and the paper. Okay? So now, the rod and end papers are removed, and it's sectioned into 3 subsections. The reason why I say possibly vertical or horizontal, it's how the teacher wants to approach it, but the technique is what we're looking for. So this is what I have, so everyone can fairly see what I have. You have it, Mr. Byrne?
Got it.
Good. Okay, so with that being said, now the key is the tools. You can read in your focus part of the same information. Curly hair or textured hair should never be cut with a rat tail comb. Should never be cut with a closed tooth comb. It tells you that in that particular procedure, that's in your Milady book. It should be, and some people say, well, where are you going to find this? This is the tools that is used for when we're cutting curly hair. Anything that is close, that is separated all the way through. But what the tester can come in with is this stuff you always like, maybe dowel. And in this particular pack, you have different type of tools that has the separated teeth to where you can come in and you can execute the technique, cutting technique. So here I will come in and I'll show you. Okay, I have another one somewhere. Where's the other? Okay, I'll just use this. Okay, so now the cutter, I tell my students that all the time, the cutter must always be comfortable. So the people who can't see it, I'm sorry, it's hard for me to move around. Here the student would come in, and the student will literally detangle the hair. Watch this here. So now, whether the section is, now we have white rods, okay? Whether the section is, and I'm using it only to that particular left side, because that's what they're going to be testing on. Whether the subsections is vertical or whether the subsections is horizontal. Literally, it's on the individual. But the key to cutting this here is the technique. And here's the technique. The technique is the curl must coil around the finger. The number one thing you must not do is put tension on the hair. It tells you that about 5 times in your Malady book. Do not put tension on the hair. So once the hair is, so you say, well, Kevin, this is a horizontal section. So I'll approach it 2 ways for you all. I'll cut it horizontal and I'll come back and I'll cut it vertical. Let's see. Which one of them want to work today? Okay. So here is the student, the tester will come and comb the hair. So what it states right here is that once the rod and end paper is removed and the 3 subsections, 3 to 4 subsections, whether vertical or horizontal, the hair is wrapped around the finger with a minimum tension and curl within that C or the S-shaped pattern. And then it goes back, the hair is cut 1 to 2 inches within the C of the S-shaped pattern without any tension. And it's very simple, look. And you can do that with any type of textured hair. So once that person comes in, here it is. So I will go, I mentioned I will cut horizontal for you all. So with that horizontal statement, that indicates that horizontal, if I'm cutting horizontal, I'm adding weight to that haircut. Okay? Now, I'm not a big fan of the white rods, but I mean, that is already in place. I'm a great fan of when you start using those larger ones, it gives you more, because then now the student has to comb through the hair, the tester has to comb through the hair, wrap the hair around the finger, minimum tension, and come back, execute the same results right here. Comb this, and literally, really, honestly, so you say, well, here's somebody who asks a question. Well, where's the guide? Is it cutting the guide? Bottom line is, all you want to do is see them execute the technique. Now, if you want them to, if the tester want them to, or the examiner want them to follow the guide is right there at the bottom. Look, this is wrapping around my finger. And all you got to do is come in.
So is there a specific degree?
It's cut within the curl. Well, that, if you could notice what I'm doing right here, if I'm bringing this down, I'm not doing any lifting to it.
Right, so you're doing 0.
It's
Yeah.
a square graduation.
Yeah.
That's 45
So
degrees.
my question, not to complicate it, it's either or. So here's the opposite way. It's either or. You can come in and you can cut it. And literally, if you stretch it to try to get a blunt cut, well, then again, you didn't put some tension into the hair. So that's why you notice that I was coming to possibly a 45 to eliminate the tension. Here is the opposite way of cutting it. Come in. Here's a vertical section. Okay, I got a section here. I have a section here. and then I have a third section. So now, I will raise up Clementine, and look. So here is whether that student decides to come and cut it. Vertical section is wrapped around the coil. The technique is executed. Here's the guide, comes right behind. Wrap it around. Technique executed.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
So, they can choose which way to cut it, but the projection's gonna be different, the guide's gonna be different either way. I'm just concerned that when we go to explain it to students, that they're gonna get a little confused too, because there's so many different ways to teach it, and say the test or examiner doesn't see exactly how they pull the tension and cut it, could be interpreted a lot of ways.
Well, first of all, there's no tension. Second of all, it's our job to make sure that the examiners are prepared for what they're looking for. That's our responsibility. So when the examiner is going to look at it, examiner, the student have two options, as y'all the instructors. We don't want to come and mandate, hey, this is a certain way we want it. We're not mandating a style of cutting. We're just showing you a technique. So the technique can be executed whether they go to horizontal sectioning, or the technique can be executed whether they go to vertical. So we're not saying do this, we're not coming and putting this in stone. It's like, here are two options that this particular technique is this particular cut is sectioned, because I'm only sectioning. What really matters is the execution of the technique. So here's my second subsection. Someone else had a question. Your hand was up.
I do. So you went from a graduated haircut and then you went back into layering and released the weight by cutting off the guide at the top?
The only reason why I did it is because the tester will have two options. The tester can do what I did first by putting some horizontal subsection. Mm-hmm. I'm only calling subsections out. I'm not calling projections out. I'm calling only subsections. Now, I understand how I'm holding it is a projection, but I'm only calling subsections. I'm trying to keep this stuff as simple as possible, okay? As simple as possible. We are executing a technique. We're not executing a degree.
So what's the technique? Because is it layers, graduation, or one length?
Apparently, you missed the technique. Look at the technique here.
No, I'd like...
Look it's here. Look. I'm wrapping it around my finger. It's the technique of executing on how to cut curly hair, and you cut within the coil. That's the technique.
Yeah, I know how to cut to a guide. I'm just asking, like, the actual, like, elevation that you're lifting the hair. There's not going to be a definitive.
Specific. She wants to know.
Like on a grading rubric, how are you going to grade it?
Yeah. If there's no...
On this rubric right here, we do not have no projection.
Okay. I didn't see that.
Are they watching how they are?
They comb around the finger.
They're watching how they comb around the finger.
And then cut to a guide.
Cut it rather than the projection of what
They're watching the technique of cutting curly hair instead of predicting a specific projection. The projection is not predicted. All the projection is going to take place when you do that 90-degree haircut. This here is just teaching you a technique on how to come in and execute cutting textured hair. And look, the hair curls right back. Now, here is the incorrect way to do it. Here's the incorrect way to do it. Okay? Take me a little while because she was set. And that is coming with the tension like you're cutting a 90-degree and coming in and disregarding how that hair is coiled.
Okay.
That's the incorrect way.
For timing, because this is on the chemical section, are they getting extra time, or is that separately timed before they begin a chemical section?
So we're going to determine that. We hadn't determined that yet.
Okay.
Probably be the same time.
Yes, sir. Be the same time.
Because it's a 50-minute head, and they've already doing, well, I guess they would eliminate that because they're not rolling, and then that would go into their time for that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the wrapping would take approximately, or used to take, I don't know how much time. But you're talking about almost with just the wrapping, 10 minutes is eliminated.
Okay.
It'll take, by the time they come in with the hair dry and take the papers off, that's 2-3 minutes. They have enough time to put sections. So the section option is how the instructor have taught them. Whether you come in and do horizontal, and execute, we'll talk y'all degree, a 45, or whether you come in and you put some vertical sections.
Okay.
It's either or. It's really the execution of the technique, that's all that matters.
And it should be even before they do the perm rods.
Ma'am?
I said they should have an even haircut before they put the perm rods in.
Yes, other than that, they're gonna have different lengths, and it's going to, so what we're really looking for now is, do that student have a working knowledge, a working understanding of how to approach this particular textured hair and how to cut it. And it's cut within the fingers. And I did not rewrite that. I just said, I've been doing this for over 30 years. It's right here.
Okay. Question?
So will the examiner go and observe each and every student that is testing at the time just to observe the technique, and that's how they're gonna grade it? Or will the examiner go in themselves and hold it out and check it?
We haven't worked with the examiners yet.
I have a question. On cutting curly hair, as opposed, well, of course, you cut it in the curl, but don't you also notch cut? I didn't notice you notch cutting.
No, I did not. No, I did not notch cut. The reason why I did not notch cut, because I'm not texturing the hair. We're talking novice who's coming in learning how to cut how to cut textured hair. No, I didn't notch. That's more advanced stuff. Is that what you're talking about?
No, just.
When you said notching, I'm
just notching the ends, because when you cut curly hair, you want movement in the ends. You don't want bluntness.
That is correct. That is correct. You are correct. But that is more on an advanced. That's on an advanced level. We're just talking just basic understanding of how to approach cutting textured hair.
Any other questions?
And remember, the book tells you over and over and over, razors do not belong in curly hair.
Any other questions? Okay, yes.
So when is the specific criteria gonna be put in place so that we know to teach the students exactly what the tester is gonna look for?
We will be working closer, and we plan to have it on the website. We'll work closer with the testers. I think the mandate is June 2022.
June 6th of 2022.
Yeah. So everything will be in place between working with
When can we
Ms.
get it
Wade.
up on the website?
Yeah.
Sorry. You know, when can we put this sheet up on the website?
Oh, we can have that up today.
Let's say, this sheet here, we can have it up. Let's say, well, we have some type of tutorial.
Yeah.
But it can, yeah, some type of tutorial. I'll come in and I'll work with you. Let's have it up on paper. I'll come in, I'll work with you all. Y'all just
So
take
those
it.
specifics will be in place ASAP so
Yeah.
that we can start training our students?
That is correct. This right here, this rubric, she'll put it up as soon as they approve it.
Yeah.
And I guess one alternative is to go ahead and pull out your My Lady textbook and just.
And look, it's all right here.
Yeah, but I'm just curious to see how the tester is gonna actually grade it. Because we need those specifics, because we need to in turn be able to teach the students, how is the tester gonna check it?
Yeah.
That's
Well, just like you standing here and asking questions, we plan to do the same thing with the testers. Plan to do the same thing with the testers.
So will the test, well, I'm just.
That's hypothetical.
Right. Will the tester be there watching the student as they cut? Because that's how they're going to see the technique.
Yes, correct.
Since they get to decide whether they'll do it horizontally or vertically, they need to actually see them implementing the technique.
That's where,
As opposed to trying to come back and check it.
right, that's where we come in. That's where we come in.
Have it divided up maybe between the testers so that they are watching hands-on.
Right, because they have to watch the technique, because
Right,
that's what's
right.
important. You know,
Well,
they
if
get
you-
my haircut, you can come back and check it. But
If-
if you're just testing the technique, the tester has to actually lay eyes on.
On the technique, right, on the execution.
Yes.
That is correct.
Okay, next question. Okay, what is gonna happen with the perm? Is it gonna be graded or not?
We have to determine that.
You mean the wrap?
Well, the wrap is, yes, because they're coming in with it wrapped, yes.
Absolutely, it is graded.
Yes.
So it's gonna be graded, so it's gonna be graded prior to them doing the haircut? 'Cause they
Well,
have
they're
to-
going to examine, the entire mannequin is going to be examined The entire mannequin is gonna be examined, like they normally come in and they normally place the perm rods in. The tester would examine and come back and take a look at it. But when the when the student comes in, yes, the rod application will be.
Graded first?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes,
My
ma'am.
next question is, when they were initially grading it, it was on wet hair. When they test for curl pattern, they pulled it out and they look for the ends to make sure there were no fish hooks. When it's already dried, once you start to around the rod, the hair shrinks, so it's going to be harder to determine if there's fish hooks or not because the hair is going to start shrinking out. So how are they going to test that?
Well, they're going to test for two things. They're going to test for the placement, make sure they have the end papers and the flat wrap, and you as an instructor, I mean, it's your responsibility to make sure that that student is executing that before he or she leaves his school.
But will the tester look for fish hooks?
Well, fish hooks literally
because
is
it's going to be hard to determine once the hair's dried because it's going to shrink as soon as you
So you just said it, there's no fish hooks. There's no fish hooks.
So they're not going to test for that?
Because there's no fish hooks.
Okay.
Why look for what's not there?
Yeah,
Other
you should be able to
questions?
see a fish hook.
It could, yeah, it could be
Well,
there.
sometimes when
Yeah.
the hair starts to dry and it shrinks up, it's hard to see around that rod if there's fish hooks.
I can tell you what's going to determine whether there's fish hooks or not. It's how that hair is placed on that paper and how that hair is wrapped. Now, if that hair is not brought to the end of that paper or that paper does not start wrapping, the paper is not wrapping prior to the hair, well then again. But the key is the hair is dry, the hair is wrapped, the hair was wrapped on double book, the hair is sectioned, and the cutting technique is executed. That's it. It's simple.
Okay, well, anything else?
When are students that are in the cosmetology now, are they gonna be tested on, or is
No,
it
ma'am.
gonna start when y'all?
No, ma'am, it's gonna be just like Mr. Steve
Okay.
mentioned it to the same thing for the testers. Once they phase out, then the new ones from the month of June, yes ma'am.
Okay, gotcha.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Any other question? Okay. Remember, it's on page 389.
That was a great demonstration. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
And thank you for your work on this, and thank you. I know there's a team working on this. Well done. Okay. Is there anything else to be brought before the board today? With that, I'd like to hear a motion to adjourn. All in favor? Aye. Say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.